I've been coming to the camp here since 2007.
5 years.
5 years.
This is my 3rd year.
I think it's year 9.
I don't know how long I've been coming here. It's been that long.
Coming here has really made me the person that I am today.
I don't really know. It's just like, I just feel like so comfortable coming here.
Making memories with my friends is what I look forward to all year, and I just can't wait to get back on the island and meet new people.
Hey athletes, welcome to Prep Camp Diaries. My name is Nate Leslie. I'm a certified executive coach, and in the summertime, I get to play the role as executive director and part owner of the West Coast Hockey Prep Camp on beautiful Vancouver Island. This podcast is for the athletes. We hope the parents enjoy it too, but we want to ask our alumni questions that are going to help our current athletes get from where they are now to where they want to be. So, athletes, have you ever wondered what it would be like to play in 4 world championships for a country you're not even born in? Do you wonder what it would be like to be just recently named captain of an NCAA Division I program? To leave home in grade 12, to live in a foreign country, to pursue your dreams in hockey and have it work out extremely well? And to have a group named after you at the West Coast Hockey Prep Camp. Nina Jobst-Smith, you know all about all of those things. Welcome to Prep Camp Diaries.
Hi, Nate. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Let's jump right into this. You're born in North Vancouver, where at 11 or 12, your mom was driving you from North Van through the city to the Oval, where I had the pleasure of first coaching you. You're 11 or 12 years old. I don't know if you knew how crazy that was at the time that your mom was willing to do that for you, but I know your family has made a lot of sacrifices along the way to help you achieve your dreams, and so have you. You've played in 4 world championships for Germany. Tell our athletes how the heck that came about, and we'll get into, how it all works.
Yeah. So, obviously I have to thank my mom for all of the hard work she put into driving me around the city, taking me to development practices and everything like that when I was younger. And she played a big role into helping me have that opportunity with Team Germany. But I was actually born in the UK, but I have been raised in Canada. And my mom knew that having a German passport always kept a lot of doors open for me. Mm-hmm. So it was always a conversation kind of through high school that potentially I could go play in Germany overseas, but it was never something we really thought would be feasible until after I graduated college or university. So it wasn't until during my grade 11 year, we kind of had the conversation, and then in that I wanted to kind of pursue another opportunity for my 12th grade year. And looking at that, my mom decided to contact some German managers throughout the DFEL, and that's the German Women's Ice Hockey League, basically in translation. So she had done that, and we'd had some good responses and some good conversations. And ultimately where I ended up deciding to go was a town in the south of Germany called Memmingen. So what some people might not know, if you have a German passport, if you have any other form of passport, you can play a season or play a year in that country, and then that will then permit you to be eligible to play for that national program. So that was kind of the goal and what we were doing there. And I took my 12th grade year. I left in about June or July, and we kind of made a summer trip of it, but ended up moving into Memmingen and playing a season there with the women's pro team. And everyone was super welcoming to me, and it was a great experience. It was obviously hard to be away from home, and with the language and culture differences, it was a big adjustment. My mom wasn't doing my laundry anymore, so had to quickly figure that out, but I wouldn't change it for the world, and it was an awesome experience.
Okay, so your mom is German, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but you were born in the UK. Any UK ancestry?
Yes, my dad's British.
Okay, and your dad is British. Okay, so for the listeners, every country has different rules, and you guys tracked down at an early age when you were in grade 10 or 11 what the options were in Germany. I know from experience the UK has slightly different ones. So it's really important, listeners, if you have a passport from somewhere, dig in and find out the rules, because what happened to Nina might be different for you. But you knew that you needed to play that season, and you thought this might happen after college, which, gosh, this seems like a long time ago. You first went to Germany, right?
Yeah.
And so there you are in grade 12, playing in the Women's Pro League, which has probably even evolved a lot as the women's game has evolved so much since that time. Have you seen changes there?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really been back too much to watch or play in any of those games, but just with my involvement in German women's ice hockey for the past 5 or 6 years, I've seen so much growth in our program and our group, and it's really it's really amazing what teams all over the world have been able to do and how that gap is slowly becoming smaller between the top teams in that top division. So that's just something super promising, and I hope to be involved in for a long time in my career.
Cool. So you play that season, you come back. Now, this is a fact for listeners too. You played as an overage at the Okanagan Hockey Academy. This is following 2 years of playing for the Vancouver Comets and prep camp owner Mark Taylor. Got to give a shout out to Tails when he's earned it. He was a big. So let's start with Tails. What'd you learn from Mark over your 2 seasons with him?
You know, Mark is just such a wise person and such a great coach. I loved the way he was able to so calmly like encourage us and support us through our early years of college recruitment. He was just such a steady person in all of our lives. I think Jen would say the same, and anyone who's been fortunate enough to play for him. But his experience and his wisdom was honestly such a big piece of where I've been able to go to today.
That's a great way to say it. His calm, he helped you guys navigate what can be a pretty emotional roller coaster, but he stays pretty steady. So hopefully for the listeners, there's someone in your life who can play that steady role. So you go to Germany, you come back, you play as an overage at the Okanagan Hockey Academy. Explain to the listener what an overage player is.
Yeah, so an overage player is basically somebody who's graduated from their high school and wants to continue playing a year before going to college, or just in general, if they want to play an extra year, you can continue to study at that school and maybe add a few courses to your course load and kind of build up your credentials going into college. I know some programs offer AP courses, so that's sometimes helpful. You can go into university with some credits, but ultimately that decision came from me having a change in heart and wanting to continue to play internationally. So I decided that I wanted to, instead of play in the youth sport league, decide to pursue a career in the States. So after making that decision, I knew I kind of had to push back things by a year, and thankfully OHA had that opportunity for me. I know not every program has the opportunity for post-grad years, so it definitely depends on what league and where you play in, but that was an option for me. So I decided to do that before I headed down to Minnesota Duluth for my freshman year of college.
Right. Okay. So when you were in Germany through that grade 12, you had committed to play at the University of British Columbia for Graham Thomas and Mike Summer, and then decided that wasn't right. So delaying for a year and going back in that overage gave you another year to then try to showcase yourself. And that ended up working out with Duluth. Did I get that right?
Yeah, correct. The post-grad year is a good option if you're kind of late in your recruitment process, just to give you that like development, extra development. I mean, it goes, you see in the men's side, a lot of people are playing juniors before they eventually end up in college. So I'm glad I had that extra year because it was really good for my training in the weight room, and having all of those facilities on hand at OHA was a great experience.
That's a great reminder too, because there's so much pressure, I imagine, on young teenage girls that are getting recruited so young, although it has changed for the better, I think, around grade 11. Listener, there's lots of things I don't know about the NCAA. But if you're, going grade 9, 10, 11 and don't have schools knocking, it is not over. You're a great example of that. You ended up committing far past your graduation date, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I am glad they've had the rule changes that they did, because recruitment, in my opinion, was starting way too early. And when you're in ninth grade, you have no idea what you want to study. You have hardly any idea what college really is. So I'm glad that people now have the opportunity to take the time and just focus on their development before all of these things kind of come to their attention. So with those rule changes, that's been awesome. And I wouldn't say to anyone, like, rush into what you're doing. Like, if you want to take an extra year, like, there's no harm in doing that. College will be there before and after. I mean, people who want to go right away, that's awesome for them too. But don't feel the pressure. Like, everybody's story is kind of different. Everybody's path's different. So just take your route, how it goes.
Well, you said grade 9, they don't even know what college is like. They haven't even been through, they don't even know what high school is about yet.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
It was a lot. And so those real changes, in a nutshell, it's later now, and so it's grade 11, right? Is that how you understand it?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it might be going into your grade 11 year or at the
Yeah.
end. No, I think it's going into your grade 11 year.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you find yourself at University of Minnesota Duluth. You've just been named captain. That's when you look back at that journey that we've uncovered so far. When you think about that little kid that was driving to Richmond to join us at the Oval, like what the heck? How does that feel to look back on all that you've accomplished so far?
Yeah, it's a crazy journey. I mean, to think that I've been playing this game for 16 years now, it's just crazy, and all the places it's taken me. I'm so grateful and extremely honored to be an upcoming captain for this season at UMD. That's also another huge accomplishment. And I'm so honored that my coaches have taken that opportunity and given it to me.
While doing an engineering degree, and you're sticking around Duluth this summer to do an internship, talk about balancing a course load as demanding as engineering and being a high performance varsity athlete.
Yeah, I think as Division I athletes, we're usually primed to just challenge ourselves in every way we can. So to perform in the weight room is super similar to performing in academics. Like, you have to put in a lot of work, and I wouldn't lie and say my degree has been easy, but I've enjoyed the work that I've had to put in. I love being busy. I love having my plate full. I love knowing at the end of the day I did everything I could. And that's just a super rewarding feeling. So civil engineering definitely isn't for everyone, but I'm really glad I'm doing it, and it's super interesting. It's not necessarily something I might pursue as my career, but for the time being, like, what it is in itself and what I'm studying is just something that I love doing. So I'm glad I've had that passion outside of hockey too, just because having those extra dimensions helps you just take your head away from spaces and give you a break when you're in between things.
When you just said varsity Division I athletes push ourselves in everything that we do, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had in the last 20 years with parents who say, you have to push my kid. And every time I hear an athlete say, I push myself, I think, yes. Can you talk about the difference between you wanting it and a parent wanting a coach to make you want it?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually having this conversation with my parents the other day, but your child has to want it. You can't teach somebody to want something. That's just something you kind of have to find within yourself, and you may not have it. There's definitely ebbs and flows in a career and ebbs and flows in a season. There's obviously going to be moments where you're a little disappointed or unhappy, but ultimately, like, it's all on you to choose what you do with your time. You have only so many hours in a day, and what you want to do with that is up to you. Your parents can't make you do anything, and if you only want to put in 50%, you're only going to get 50% out of it. So
right on.
I just say, like, once you get to that level, everybody's putting in 100, and that's something about the culture, and it's just amazing to be surrounded by people like that.
Right on. Let's talk about the World Championships. When did you first get that call to say, Nina, you're going to play in the World Championships for Germany?
So that was actually the year I was playing in OHA, and the World Championships ended up being canceled. So they were supposed to be in Halifax that March, but ended up getting pushed back until, actually, I believe canceled that year. And the following year, they were rescheduled for April and then pushed back until August, and then hosted in Calgary because of all of these COVID restrictions and COVID protocols. So it was actually kind of a wild experience, because you had the high of being like, I'm going to go to my first World Championships and going to be in this beautiful city, Halifax, and then having it all kind of taken away is something so many athletes experience. So that was kind of a heartbreaking year for athletics in general, but finally getting to go to that World Championship in Calgary was a surreal experience, also because it was somewhere I'd played growing up. The Wickfest tournament was there. So I had been there when I was 14, 15 years old and knew the place pretty well. So it's just kind of like a full circle moment. And now you're playing against and with some of the best players in the world. And it was just a really cool feeling. And I'm glad I got to experience that in somewhere that was so familiar for me, when, I mean, everything is unfamiliar ultimately when you go to one of those tournaments.
Wow. We talk about this world of instant gratification. This is delayed gratification. You just described a year and a half pushing back your dream of playing in the World Championships. you don't know this, but in that August, I was running our Victoria Hockey School, and we were having a lunch break for the kids, and there's a bunch of 7, 8, 9-year-olds sitting around eating their bagged lunch, and we turned on the TV, and you were on the ice. So the kids spent their lunch hour, and I said Nina was sitting. She was your age when she started training with us. The kids thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, you're giving back to the next generation without even realizing it. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, looking at all the role models I had, I can only hope to be somebody else's role model, and whatever that is, inspiring them to be great in school, inspiring them to be great in hockey, whatever that is. I mean, it's just cool to see people take their journeys, and I hope I can be that person for others.
Who are you thinking about right now that showed the path to you?
I mean, there are just so many players that come to mind. There's bits and pieces of players and coaches that you've had along the way that have helped you with certain things, or one technique on the ice that you might have that one coach taught you in Pee Wee. So I think of so many people. There's just so many people in my career, my life, and that have helped me get to the point where I am. And that's the beauty of it. It's not just one person. It's your parents, it's your siblings, it's your coaches in U9 that helped you fall in love with the game. It's your coaches in college that have helped you refine all of those little skills. It's everything in between. So yeah. It's just been really cool.
That's an eloquent way to say that. I'm sure there are a lot of people, and you remind me, we become an average of the people we hang out with. So if you're surrounding yourselves with good people, good things happen to you. Would you agree that that's happened to you?
Yeah. I think of my roommates in college and how they've pushed me over the years, and how we have such similar morals and goals that it's been really refreshing to be around. And I'm so glad our coaches have brought in the culture and the people that they have.
Yeah. That's not a bad segue. It's a pretty cool group of people that you and I have been able to surround ourselves with at prep camp. What has prep camp played? What role has it played in your life over the years?
Yeah, I mean, at prep camp, you make friendships that you may not have otherwise made. You're playing with girls that kind of come from all over the province. I know I had some good friends in Kelowna, or Reese Hunt, for example, she's from Nelson, and we would all come to this prep camp and play together, where you get to hang out with your best friends for a week and play hockey, train, and do everything else outside of that. And I think about those relationships and how far they've gone. Just when you play in the NCAA, all of those girls are still there. And it's just cool to see the growth of hockey in general, from going from prep camp all the way to the NCAA. You just had so many girls do that. And it's a really proud moment when you see BC being as prominent as it is in college hockey.
We've worked really hard in the past year on declaring our core values as an organization to the world. And one of the ones that's most important to us is healthy and connected prep camp communities. And so to hear you say that it's the people you met there, and then you run into them in these circles like across the continent, or you're competing against them, or maybe end up playing with them one day, for us is probably one of the coolest things that we can hear as being important to you. What do you make of that? That the benefit that camp has given you is actually the one thing that we're trying to do for people.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool to hear, and connections are everything really in your life and post-career, wherever that takes you. I mean, the people that you surround yourself, like you said before, in life are part of who you become. And I love the friendships that I made at prep camp, and I love the development I had, and the inspiration of talking to coaches there, and just getting to connect with them on different levels, maybe less intense of a level, just because it's a camp and not a season where you're competing for games, or your coaches are having the stresses of making sure their team wins. You're getting to know coaches on a different level. And that was also a big part of like college recruitment, and just getting to see that side of coaches in a different way was a relief when you're going through such a stressful time.
Yeah, we intentionally don't call it a showcase, right? It's a high performance development camp, because we want that lunchtime to be about lunchtime and learning about each other, and that lower stress versus feeling like you have to perform every second. There's enough of that for teenagers right now, feeling like they need to perform every second, right?
For sure.
It's hard for us with so much success and so many alumni who have done great things at camp. But one of the reasons that you and Jen and Phoebe who plays for Team Switzerland for Olympics, and Jenna Buglioni at Ohio State. We've named groups after you because of the international level. Like, we have to have some kind of level, but it's the international level of success that you've had is sort of, we feel privileged that that's our cutoff, like play for a national team and you qualify. But also it's what you bring when you do come back, and you've been able to come back for so many years since then, just the vibe that you bring, that this needs to be fun. Training is fun, working hard is fun, and just being on the journey, on your own path is and the whole adventure. That's the part that made us want to recognize you guys with that. So I just want to thank you for everything that you've given camp, and we're always watching, and we're so proud of what you've accomplished. So thank you for all that, and thanks for joining today.
Thank you so much. It's a huge honor to have our names as some of those camp groups, and I'm so thankful for everything. So yeah, thanks for having me today.
Thanks for your time. Good luck as captain, Nina.
Thank you so much.